Hello, 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 everyone. Oh, let me see if I put my earbuds in. Well, I am Jewel, back again. This is a Saturday segment. We're going to be talking about how to change and support a changing world. We're going to have Deborah Noel Shaw back on today or tonight. And let's see how many want to come on, have a conversation about how to support a changing world. You guys have to forgive me because I've been working today. And like I said, this is a topic we're going to start talking about on Saturday nights around this time. It is 5:21 Mountain Time. Central Standard Time, it is 6:21, and Eastern Standard Time, it is 7:21. So let us know if these times work for you, and if they don't, what we can do to get more people active and participate. If you have a question, let us know. We'll probably change the platform, but it depends on how many people are interested and want to participate. This is indeed important. And so if nobody comes on, it's okay. I see you, Deb. Okay. So let me get her on. Well, whatever you did the first time was fine. Let's do that again. Okay.
There you are. Hello, hello, hello. Back again.
Hello. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing well, thanks. Pull your screen down, I think, a little bit if you can.
There.
Perfect.
Is that better?
That is. Thank you, thank you. So once again, we're back on and we're going to be talking about how to change and support a changing world. So let's just start from the podcast. Like I said, a lot of people have mentioned that they were good. They were glad to hear that somebody is bringing up these subjects, and so we're just going to talk about this every Saturday around this time, uh, as as time permits. And I usually don't have a lot of appointments on Saturdays, so it should be at 5 o'clock my time works. Does that still work for you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, good. So what do you have to enlighten us with today, Deborah?
Well, first I bring you greetings from Florida. I'm here. My granddaughter is on a dance team, and so they're in some competition. So I'm down here supporting them. So I'm not in my own surroundings right now, but it's good to be with everyone. I took some time this week to reflect. And, several weeks ago, we saw something on a football field that changed our lives. We saw an individual collapse, have go into cardiac arrest, and all this was caught and captured and gained a lot of national attention. But what I thought about this week was, what if we experience that in real time. Someone could pass out in a grocery store. Someone could pass out at school, a church, by a gas pump. Would we be prepared? How many people know how to administer CPR? And how many people understand or know how to identify someone that's had suspected opiate overdose? You know,
Okay.
the Narcan trainings are basically free in most communities. And I think with the rise of, the opiate epidemic that we're dealing with, and fentanyl, and, people making fake pills and all of that around the globe, I really want us to think about how prepared am I? How prepared
Okay.
is my community for this? What can I do to make a difference? Does my church have an AED machine in it in the event of a heart attack or a suspected heart attack? And I think we need to start thinking outside of the box. A lot of these education opportunities cost us nothing but time. And if it was your loved one, would you pray or hope that there were individuals there that were prepared to step up? Who would have thought that would ever happen at a football game? When we look at our athletes, we consider them, for the most part, to be in perfect health. We don't think of them as being a possible candidate for heart condition or heart disease. And we don't know what's going on in an individual's body. We're just looking on the outside and they appear healthy, but we really don't know what's going on. And, being a football player, you take a lot of hits and some hard hits. So, yes, things happen. But how prepared are we, Jewel?
That's a good question. And you're right, because a lot of people are not prepared. They don't know the first thing to do. They wait on others to come and save the day. But if you were the only one or one with the knowledge, then you can start and possibly save somebody's life. If you've taken CPR, even first aid, although they're different, but yet it's what we all need, especially during these times, because like you said, people can have an allergic reaction in the store. You know how people go to the grocery store and they'll pinch a grape and it may have herbicide, pesticide, they didn't wash it, they didn't clean it, and have an allergic reaction. And then you got to call 911. But in the meantime, somebody could help. And just like you say, cardiac problems, you can be in the grocery store and not know what to do to help. Now, prime example, today I went to the grocery store. I paid for my items, and what happened? The employee had a meltdown, started crying, was hysterical. Of course, I have, a medical background, and I stood there with her to see if there was something I could do. I asked questions first. Then I guess the store manager came, and this could not have happened. Well, it clearly happened more than once. So she told her to go take a break. But if you're in the store and you see something like this, you can't, nowadays, you shouldn't just walk by. you should be able to ask the question, stay calm, or do what needs to be done until somebody can step in. So yeah, these are very important questions, and also to see, who really can assist until paramedics come or until someone comes that can handle and take over the situation. Because we're in a time right now, it's not a joke, and I don't think people are taking this seriously, but they should.
I'll tell you, you know, particularly in our rural communities, um, it can take several minutes for EMS to arrive. And if it's a cardiac situation or even an overdose,
Hmm.
literally every second matters of keeping that blood circulating in the heart and enough oxygen to the brain. You know,
Right.
we don't think about it. 7 to 10 minutes for an ambulance to arrive could mean somebody's life or death.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just something as simple as like now you've got CPR. It used to be two people per 30 breaths. Now they're saying you can do one person and you have to do so many breaths. So these are the things that people need to learn. And it only takes what, 3 hours to get certified. It depends on, even first aid. And it's one day that you can register for CPR or first aid and be able to save somebody's life or many people's lives. So that is important. And see, I'm looking this way because I got my monitor on, but that should have been that or could have been um, a topic but we're not teaching CPR today and we're not teaching first aid today, but that is part of a changing world that many people need it would be to their advantage to learn CPR and first aid, especially during these changing times. You're right. You're right.
Absolutely. I think many times we get kind of stuck in what we've always done, and this is always how we've handled situations. But now we have so much technology out there and so many classes that we can utilize and to implement to make a safer environment
Yeah.
and to truly help people, even when you talk about addiction and overdose. How many people really know what the signs are of someone that is experiencing an overdose?
Okay.
We have adults that overdose every day in the United States because they
Yeah.
forget sometimes that they've taken their medication. When
Hmm.
we think of overdose, many times the stigma is associated with those who have a substance use disorder. Um, but it's not just them. It,
Right.
check on your family members, check on the seniors especially, but that can happen to anyone, especially
Right.
people that have memory problems. Um, I encourage seniors, well, I encourage anyone that has a controlled substance to own a lockbox and lock your medication up to keep it safe for you and from others. Um, you have lots of people sometimes coming in and out of your homes or apartments, and you need to want to protect yourself and protect them. Little people are very inquisitive now, and they like to adventure. And some of them like the sound of pills and things because it reminds them of a rattle and that noise. So I really, really encourage that. But addiction is real. And I I hope that through this, that Jewel, we can help reduce some stigma and some misunderstanding, because
Right.
some adults overdose.
Yeah, they
And it's
do.
more
And
prevalent than people realize.
right. Medication and vitamins even. People take vitamins and they maybe are within range. That's another issue today. Let's just say vitamin D. People are taking 1,000 IUs, 5,000 IUs, and they're within normal range. So why are they taking and constantly taking 5,000 IUs if you're in normal range? So yeah, you can become toxic or overdose, and that's something that we can talk about as well, because it is needed in today's um, community, society, that people need to recognize this. So, do you have some um, uh, steps or a way to get common, ordinary folks to recognize what it looks like when they are, like you're at a grocery store and a person has possibly overdosed? What do you look for?
Well, you know, their consciousness, like in CPR, we tend to roll them on their side, and you see if they are unresponsive. And, you know, we use the naloxone nasal spray. And
Okay. Yeah.
if it is an overdose and you use the nasal spray, I tell people to um, step back, because that person, if it was an overdose, they're going to become very violent sometimes and agitated, because though you were saving their life, um, you've messed up their high, as they would call it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And they don't always appreciate that. But
Right.
I, I really want people to understand the importance of education. Excuse me. The training takes roughly 45 minutes, and it's free. So there's really, in most communities, or at least in the state of Tennessee, um, there's no reason. Many fire stations have naloxone available. We're hoping in March that it will be readily available in the nasal spray on that people can just purchase without a prescription. The CDC is working on getting that regulated and approved, maybe late March, early April. Uh, but people need to be aware. I personally feel every business owner needs to know how to use naloxone and have it there. Someone could fall out in your restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
Mm-hmm.
very, matter of fact, in the community that I live, I have several restaurant owners that I went to and talked to them about it, who have since become trained, and they said this has happened in their restaurant and they had to call EMS. Well, most emergency management systems only have so many ambulance, and you know, when this is something that you might be able to address and get that person some follow up care, even after we use naloxone, we still encourage that individual to go to the emergency room for follow-up care. Then at that time, people can come up with a treatment plan for them. Are they a candidate for inpatient treatment? Can they go to a detox center, for 5 to 7 days? Do they need to go to a facility for 30, 45 days, or do they need long-term treatment? By getting that person connected with a healthcare professional through the emergency room, those questions can be answered and help that person to truly recovery. There are a lot of different recovery programs out there and support systems, but we can't just say, pray it away. We have to be willing to acknowledge that this is a disease, just like high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer. There is treatment out there for this disease. A lot of people don't want to identify that it's a disease. They just think that people want to do this. And they don't understand that this affects the receptors in their brain, and it damages them. So again, it goes back to proper education. Some of the stuff that's still out there is stuff that's been out there 30 or 40 years ago that is helping contribute to the ongoing stigma in our society surrounding substance use disorder.
Yeah, that is true. Hi, Marie. I see Marie is on. Let us know if you want to come on. Marie is a nurse as well, an RN. And if you want to come on and talk with us about the need to learn CPR, first aid, especially in a changing world. And we were just talking about, consciousness if you're in a grocery store, not just for people who are overdosing, but, somebody could be at the grocery store and have a seizure. And that would be one of the steps that you take, is to turn them over on their side and then clear the area so that person doesn't become combative. However, if they are suffering with an overdose, they can become irate and combative, but at least you can turn them on their side so they won't swallow their tongue or their own saliva until the next step, let's just say, because depending on who it is. And you mentioned that, what is it, the AED, I think you mentioned. Now, I have seen some churches with the machine hanging on the wall. How many churches, I don't know. Is it a good thing? Yes, it is. And I think the ushers, or there are sometimes, physicians at church. But if they're not at church, then we need to talk about a committee. And it may be the usher board, I'm not sure, but a committee that can assist. And like you say, that's something we really want to bring to the attention of, because if people don't know what to look for, how are they going to know to help?
I really think it's time for, we'll start with churches. In the day that we're living, I really would like for churches maybe to consider a healthcare committee, so that some of these things can be addressed and people can be properly trained. I know it costs money, and it's difficult, and it's labor intense, but we're dealing with with individual lives. And let's be proactive and not reactive after the fact. And that's where the education is very, very important, I think.
I agree. Welcome, Marie. This is Marie with Are You Shut In? And a registered nurse. What do you have to say, Marie?
Yes, as an emergency room nurse, I sometimes have patients who come in by ambulance, which, during transport, they get the appropriate intervention. So that's good. But there are those who are also dropped off by their friends without any pre-hospital treatment. So appropriate, timely bystander intervention can save lives. So as you were saying about the Narcan, I totally agree with like the stores, people being trained how to administer it and have it available. In terms of the AID, I think it should be in every building and people appropriately trained in how to use it, because see that football player who had that cardiac event on the field last week, how the timely intervention saved his life.
Absolutely.
At the team and the equipment, someone started CPR right away, and effective CPR, we know how effective, how good that can be. So absolutely, we all have a part to play in things like these happening. We can save lives, because so many people are dying from this narcotic pandemic epidemic.
Epidemic,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Epidemic.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't want it to become a pandemic. It is an epidemic. But like Deb and I keep saying, if we can educate and talk about preventative things, hopefully somebody will start thinking or have an aha moment like, yeah, I do need to uh, become CPR certified or learn how to use the AED machine. So these are topics that we're going to start bringing up on the weekends,
Yes.
Saturdays, and anybody's welcome to come on if anyone has a question, and whatever else we can do to help to enlighten an audience, as they continue to watch. Go ahead, Deb. What else can you say as far as
I really think sometimes you all both come from a nursing background, but I think ordinary people are so afraid of being sued if they do anything. And one thing that we talk about a lot in the overdose training that we do here in Tennessee is the Good Samaritan.
Right.
And I don't people think or understand or may not even know about the Good Samaritan law and how you're protected if you're trying to do the right thing and help someone, how you're protected.
Yes.
In that place. But sometimes I really think that there's just a fear of common, ordinary people trying to do anything to assist because of that.
Yeah, that is true. However, we're in a time where it's so huge. If it was, but now it's almost like hundreds in a community that are affected.
Absolutely.
So so now it's like you can't sue everybody. You got to be able to help more than worry about and have that fear, because it's now an epidemic and we're in the midst of a pandemic. So every doctor can't save a patient. Every nurse can't save a patient. And 9 times, I won't put the statistics in, but there are many nurses and physicians that are burnt out.
Yes.
So if we don't start helping our community, who's going to be left?
Right.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look.
Absolutely.
That's just the way I look at it. You know, what do I know?
We all need to do our part. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's what I like with you and the podcast, because you are making that attempt to get the information out. And hopefully, by doing this, anyone that has fears, we can help them overcome those fears.
Yes.
Sometimes people just think that there's cost factors and they can't afford some of these trainings. It varies from state to state. The cost is going to vary from state to state, but you can't put a cost on someone's life. And would
No.
you want your family member to be treated like that? And would you want to think that your family, if that was your loved one, someone in that area would care enough and would have taken the time to do that? But it's education. It truly, I feel, is education.
The fear is due to a lack of knowledge. Absolutely. And in most communities, if not all, the American Red Cross does CPR for free.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
CPR training.
All they have to do is go online and find out who's doing CPR for free, who's doing first aid for free. And now some churches, they offer it certain times of the year. I don't know if it's all, but I do know some churches will offer CPR, first aid to their congregation.
Yeah,
but
check your library
people have to
too. The library.
Right. And it's a matter of putting in the work. We have to sometimes do critical thinking. We can't always expect somebody to tell us. Sometimes we have to get online like we do on Facebook and Google who's doing free CPR, AED classes, first aid classes. So we got to get back to putting in the work.
Yes.
You know, we can't always expect somebody to tell us something.
Yeah.
That is getting tired. That is getting old.
Yes. It's our responsibility. We have to advocate for ourselves. We can't wait for others to do it for us. Can't wait for the government to do it for us. We can't wait for the public officials. Get on the bandwagon and educate yourself. Seek out the information. Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Now, are you guys seeing any questions or comments? Because my phone won't allow me to do it.
Yeah, I
Do
can't.
we have any questions?
No, I don't see any questions.
I don't see any.
Okay. And if anybody wants to come on, just push the invite or request so that you can come on. We can get one more person on the panel. And then if others are coming on, then we can alternate. But you guys, if you come on and you go out and you want to come back on again, that's fine too. Just keep pushing the button so that I know that there are people that want to come on, people that want to say something, express themselves is totally okay. That's what these sessions are going to be about. So feel free to pop on in.
I see Georgette is watching. That's my lovely sister-in-law. Would you like to come and join?
Hello.
She's also registered.
Okay. Feel free, because I like community nursing. I don't just I've worked 3 12-hour shifts in the hospital before. And, community nursing is important, I think, because we can do preventative care. We can answer questions. Maybe the person will make healthier choices to prevent them from ending up in the hospital, because right now is not a good time. I know people will go and, they'll say that they're in the hospital, pray for me and all that, but let's learn how to help ourselves and do some preventative things to prevent us from going to the hospital, especially during this time.
Yeah, change our lifestyle so we can live healthy. You know, no time is a good time, but especially now to be in the hospital. And we can do
Right,
to maintain a healthy lifestyle. We can
right.
eat
And
better.
there was, yeah, eat much better. And I just had a question. Someone was asking, where can you get a mouth apparatus for CPR for free? Well, I keep one in my purse, but I'm thinking that you can go to the Heart Association or anywhere. You can also buy them online. Excuse me, but I don't. But I think if you are taking first aid or CPR, I think that is included in the class. They will at least give you one.
I'm not sure. So.
Yeah.
When I took mine in Tennessee, I got mine at the class.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good. Okay. And then let's see. Anyone else have anything to say? Okay.
I have a
Well, moving right
question,
along. Go ahead.
Joel. What about mental health? Right now, we're in a pandemic, and we have multiple epidemics going on, from
Yeah.
COVID to RSV to the flu, and our list goes on and on. Seems like something new is announced almost monthly in some. We have to think about if a person is in need of preventive care, dealing with prevention, it's their mental health. It's okay to go talk to a therapist, folks. It is okay.
Say that again.
It is okay to talk to a therapist.
Yes.
Yes.
Go mental health self-care.
Yes.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is
And
is so needed
Yes.
in
it's
all
so
cultures.
needed. Yeah. It is so needed. Why? Because you get a different perspective. Because if you're around people that think like you, they may not even realize that they too may be in need.
Right.
So my thing is, it's okay. As I agree with you, Deb, because it's not like you have to do this on a regular. Some people may have to, and it's a lifelong healthy choice. But then some people may just need someone to help them get through a rough patch. They may also need to take something temporarily to get them through. Now, here we are in this pandemic. People are doing drugs, and then they get off of drugs and think they're okay and they can manage. But then they may be going through withdrawals or something. And so that's another reason to talk to someone, figure out where you're going, what needs to be done. Do you need medication? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? You have to be able to rule out. But what I will say, I'm going to say this, and it may not be the right platform, but I'm going to say this. I have a problem with some of these medical professionals misdiagnosing and saying that everybody may be bipolar, ADD, ADHD. We have to figure out what that really looks like. And not only that, it may not be any of those things. They may just need to be taken out of their environment. So we have to be careful to allow, that's what I always say, take someone with you take notes, write down exactly what they said, get a second, third, maybe fourth opinion, and be mindful that the Black community is not always bipolar. What they put out in the Caucasian community is high anxiety, stress. So you got to be careful. I'm talking to the ones that are able to diagnose. Be careful, not because I can't diagnose anyone. I am not a doctor. But what I can say is I see this on a regular, people being misdiagnosed, and it takes them 3 or 4 years to figure out that's not what it was. Marie?
Absolutely.
Another thing I know too is that the diet can also affect your mental health.
Absolutely.
So you don't always need a pill, you know.
No, you don't. But some people do, but not all. Because
Right.
you know that's my MO. That's what I say. If you eat healthy, drink water, exercise. But see, people don't know how much to eat. They don't know how much tea to drink. So you can get to the point where you're drinking ashwagandha tea, and you know it's for your mental state. They also know vitamin B12, vitamin B complex is good, but they don't know how much to consume. That's where I come in. So you don't, it's a conglomerate of things. And yes, people say, oh, well, I do this and I do that. That's nice. But when you get to the point where your diet has changed, you're eating salads all the time, or salmon, the omega 3, but then your body plateaus, or you still don't know how much more to ingest. That's what I think people are missing, is that it's a conglomerate of things. You always have to adjust, especially if you're doing things naturally, you see. But if you are on medication, sometimes you have to take medication, and you can reduce the medication and continue to eat healthy and still be balanced. But that's what I help with. And most nurses, unless they are in that genre, they may just be talking about conventional nursing and not integrative nursing. But yeah, sometimes it's one or the other. It could be both. So you have to be able to know that person or have been working with that person in order to help them to decide which way they need to go. Because at the end of the day, it's their choice. You see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And many
Yeah.
times, if people don't have proper insurance or they're not insured, they neglect their mental health and their physical health. But I want to say this very openly. There are a lot of communities that have free community health clinics. Your local health department can help you, direct you to places, and sometimes they may have a mental health practitioner. There are people in rural communities. We have Rural Healthcare Association. Those entities operate on sliding scales many times. Some of our churches have faith-based clinics now throughout the United States that can treat people on, some of them are geared or marketed toward the low income or uninsured population. So just not having medical insurance is no reason in 2023 not to take care of your physical and your mental health, because
Right.
there are resources out there to assist you. But many times people don't know that. They just know, I don't have insurance, so I can't go to the doctor. And they don't go until they're extremely sick. And sometimes it's too late. But there are programs. And if they're not in your local community, I'm sure they're not far away that you can't get there. And sometimes some of these services have transportation fixed with
Yeah,
them.
yeah, that is true. Where you can, they do have transportation for some. And like I say, we all are resources. We all are in different parts of of the United States. You know, Marie is in Florida. You can get in touch with Marie on her website, um, and she can help with resources. You've got Deb, who's in Tennessee. She's got resources. Myself, you can always go to Simply Jewel. You can always find out who do I know in your area. If you don't have to be in Colorado, you can be wherever you are, and I can direct you to resources in your area.
Absolutely.
And Deb can do the same. Marie can do the same. And Marie, go ahead and let everybody know, because we are talking about change here. How can we get people to connect with you for the services that you provide, in addition to, like we say, dealing with mental health, dealing with the flu, dealing with all kinds of things? I'll let Marie tell a little bit about what she does and the resources to bridge with what we're talking about today.
Well, I'm Marie McKenzie. I'm a rape kit expert, advocate, sexual assault nurse examiner, and registered nurse. I provide confident, compassionate, confidential coaching through the rape kit process of each state in the USA to help victims overcome the thought of being traumatized a second time, to position them as powerful self-advocates instead of becoming emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically shut in,
Absolutely.
silently hurting due to unresolved trauma caused by rape or sexual assault, internalizing, taking on the shame, the guilt, anger, reliving the trauma needlessly. You don't have to. You can connect with me on my website, marielmckenzie.com, on all social media platforms, and marielmckenzie@gmail.com.
Yes. And the reason why I think it's good too, Marie, is because homelessness. There's so many homeless people, and they too have been dealing with rape. It's just a mess. It's a mess out here. So we all need to come together. It would be great to come together and keep talking about and educating about the changes in our community. It's very important. It's much needed. And that's why I just feel compelled to use my platform to be a resource for those who may stumble across my page, and to see that we have so many people coming together with resources and how we can facilitate and educate and talk about preventative things. This is a need. This is not a game. This is for real. This is real life. And we all know somebody struggling with something, and we should be able and can help facilitate and help educate. Deborah?
Absolutely. I agree. Marie was talking about how she helps people. Human trafficking is real. And
Oh,
it's a
yes.
subject that people really don't want to talk about. It's one of those delicate subjects, but how we've got to learn some things are very delicate and very sensitive, but they still need to be discussed
Yes.
and addressed, and people
Yes.
need to
Yeah.
be educated on it. This week, I had the experience of working with a young woman that had gone through that at a period in her past, and she's still dealing with that trauma and um, still not feeling worthy, still in that shell. You know, you can see the potential and that she wants out, but she's been imprisoned and she feels like that's all her worth. And, you know, to try to help, you know, I talked to them about an onion. The outer skin of an onion is very, very tough, and you have to get through to those thinner layers. And just seeing how unhappy and how she had been living so trapped for years and years and years, and didn't feel like anyone cared, didn't know anyone knew what it was, had just been told you can't talk about this topic, you know, we'll hurt your family or we'll come after you, and some of those type statements. And just to walk around in society and be so afraid. But yet there are those words, certain senses bring on those type triggers that
Yeah.
bring up all those emotional feelings that she's been forced to conceal and kind of press down and um, remain trapped. So, you know, I appreciate what you do in working with individuals that have gone through that trauma, because it is very, very real.
It is
And
very,
people need to realize it's a subject that can be addressed, but it's a very, very delicate subject,
should be
and
a
you have to be willing to take baby steps with them. So I applaud
That's
you,
true.
because
thank you.
I'm not trained in that, but I did have enough sensitivity, and the person was open enough, you know, and when she didn't want to talk anymore,
Right.
then, you know, that's enough for today.
Yes, absolutely.
That-
She set the
And you
pace.
have to
That's good.
realize when a person wants to not talk anymore, okay,
Yes.
there'll be a next time.
Just be there. I'm here for you when you're ready. Yes.
That's
Hold
right.
space. Yes.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Deb, go ahead and tell the listeners what you do. We did a podcast last Tuesday. So for those that want to hear the podcast, ironically, we have the last two. Deb and Marie both were on the podcast on Simply Jewel Atypical Podcast. So you guys go to anchor.fm and listen to the podcast that we did on both with Marie, Are You Shut In? With Deb, who works with, oh, well, she's right here. I'm getting ready to have her tell. So go ahead, Deb. Tell them what you're working with.
I am an executive director of a prevention coalition in the state of Tennessee. And primarily, we work with substance use disorder, dealing with opiates, alcohol, tobacco, vaping, from 18 on up. We also address mental health, um, because we feel mental health plays a big part in substance use disorder. Uh, in that, we talk about the ACEs, um, as far as the adverse childhood experiences, and we talk about how that transcends, and when you get to work with those individuals, you'll find out they've had experience, maybe rape, incest. They were exposed to drugs as children in their homes, or their parents gave them something to drink, and they started drinking when they were 13 or 14 and smoking cigarettes because their parents let them, smoke on cigarettes, and then it continued and continued. So that's what we get to do. In December, we held a warming station the week of Christmas, where that was geared towards homelessness. I really see that many people that are homeless sometimes have a substance use disorder, and there's mental health involved in that. And we have to learn in our society that there's a lot of overlapping behavior. Used to go to the doctor and he'd write you a prescription for this and send you back out the door. But we've got to start taking time. I do a lot of case management, sitting with individuals to see how some of this weaves in through something else. It may have came through the back door, the side door, or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're so intertwined. And a lot of times, they go to a physician and they're wanting to treat them, like you said, for anxiety and depression. And sometimes they just need a good therapist to listen to them and help them talk through some of this and really get it out in the open. I believe that I'm kind of like you. I believe in oils can help calm some of these situations. I believe that certain foods that we can do with our diet, a lot of people have problems because they're poorly hydrated. I deal with a lot of people in Tennessee that will tell me they don't like water, they don't drink water. Well, if your hydration level is not where it needs to be, then that's going to bring on other medical situations for you. So
Yeah.
I have a job that I really love. I mean, I enjoy going to work, and when I stop enjoying going to work, then I'm not going to do it anymore. I believe that you have to have a passion for what you want to do in life, and I
Amen.
really want to see a change. I mean, we have to do more on the education platform across the board to enlighten people, because people aren't picking up books now. They do not want to read, period.
Listen, like I noticed that too. I didn't mean to cut you off, Deb. I'll tell you in a minute. You want to go ahead? You want to finish
No,
up?
no, no, you're fine. You're fine. But if
Oh,
we're not taking time to read it, then how are we how are we going to be informed?
yeah. Well, here's my thing. Social platforms has ruined it for. There's still people that love to read. I love to
Thank
read,
you.
but
I love
yeah. But for those that don't like to read, and if you can't capture their attention in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, well, let me just tell you guys, you might want to go on my platforms. This is a joke, but you may want to go to the first 5 minutes or past the first 5 minutes, because sometimes I can't get the platforms in sync until 5 minutes after. So if you're on my platforms, you may want to forego the first 5 minutes. But that was a joke, but that's also for real, because if you can't capture people's attention in the first minute, then they're not going to want to stay, But that's why I have so many different platforms, because you may not want to see it on Facebook, but you can see it on YouTube. I may edit, I may not, but at least you can pick up where you left off on YouTube by just going to your library, and you don't have to start all over. But yeah, that's why I decided this is probably a good way to talk to people on Saturdays. And we're almost at our hour, but to have a conversation every Saturday for an hour, because people may not want to read. You know, they may not want to do certain things to hear, and it may be helpful. So that's why I'm doing it on these platforms. Like I said, we all are able to uh, have resources. I guess what I should say is put your website and email in the chat for those that may want help or resources. And Deb, saying, you know, both of you guys go ahead and put your email address and your website in the chat, because they may click the button and get tired of watching, but can go to, some people go to comments, you know. Some people will forego the conversation and just go to the comments and see what that says. So for those that are just learning how to navigate on these platforms, I'm giving you a little knowledge that in case you don't watch the whole segment, you can go to the comment section and get information out of the comment section. So that's a little information for those that may be watching, and, you know, people are learning. This is going to be a new way of communicating, and so that's what we'll have to do. Uh-oh, we lost Deb. So we were going to end, so if she pops back in, we can say our good night. And anything else for you, Marie? Okay.
That's
okay.
Yes. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay.
And listeners.
Well, I'm glad you came on. I'm not understanding why I can't see the comments come in on my phone. So I'll have to work on that too. And I may try a different device next week. I'm thinking about post-traumatic stress disorder in the community. I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, it can't be post-traumatic stress disorder in the community, but the CDC has labeled it as post-traumatic stress disorder in the community, dealing with racial profiling, exclusion, harassment, and amongst other things. So that may be the topic for next week. Okay, I can see. Thank you, Deb. I can see, and it did come in, that said she loved it. And also make sure you put your information in the comment section if you haven't done that. And if not, I will add it once we complete finish this episode. So, well, I call it an episode, but it's not an episode. We are on Simply Jewel Cosmetics and Health Services here on Facebook. Don't forget to visit here on Facebook Monday, as I'll be having a free a cosmetic sale. I won't be saying free, but you are going to get a huge discount if you participate. And Marie, you participated the most, so I will send you a t-shirt with your purchase if you so choose next Monday. You can also allow your percentage to be added to next week, where you get an additional discount. So the more you participate, the more the discounts add up. And thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Peace and blessings to everyone. And we'll talk soon.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.